Oh man, it's freaking humid as hell out here in Florida.
Man,
Where you guys from?
It's humid-ish over here in Los Angeles.
Damn, you in LA? Ah, I wish.
I'm in the Bay and it's lovely. 75, sunny, beautiful.
Where you say you were from? Colorado?
Now the Bay Area, San Francisco.
Oh, you guys are both from
nice.
Cali? My man Ryan's from Cali too?
no, I'm in Hawaii.
Hawaii? Are you serious?
Yeah,
It's
bro.
like getaway destination.
All right, so we are officially live. Tony down
What's
here.
going on?
We were in this Facebook group today because that's what we do, because we're all addicted to Facebook, minus Dustin because he didn't do that shit no more. Ask this question today. What is, I'm going to paraphrase, but it's more or less like, what is transcendence to you? And then we kind of gone back and forth. We're reading the comments and the conversation kind of went like a weird direction. So somebody challenged us to do a Facebook Live about this today, or challenged us to do a Facebook Live about it. So I was like, all right, let's just do it today. And then, so here we are. So I'm just going to ask the question again, and I'm going to let Dustin start because I know he's like pumped and ready to go. So what is transcendence to you, my man, None10? All right, dude, go.
The only kind of transcendence that I can speak about is like self-transcendence, right? Because that's the only one that I have any like recollection of at all. And so like self-transcendence to me is elevating my consciousness to a level in which I can figuratively look down on myself and gain perspective on me. That way, with that perspective, I thus elevate myself to that new level. So like, as I move upstairs, as I elevate my consciousness in one space, the rest of me sort of moves up there with it. And so that's how I view it, is so to view myself from as high up, from as far out as possible, get in as much as possible, and then move up to that space and be there from a place of self.
So you're moving up in consciousness. Can we say that transcending is kind of like enlightenment? Am I safe to say that? Is it safe to say that?
You're safe to say whatever you want here, homie.
Oh, not for me, no.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I like that.
Not for me, but I can see why someone would feel that way.
See,
Like-
to me, like, and I think this is what I was saying earlier in the group, that to me, the word transcendence is such a word, like to me is almost
Loaded.
like it's really, no, I don't know if I want to say loaded, but if I was to transcend right now in front of your faces, I feel like my physical body would just split open and particles of light would just pour out of me and I would split into the ether. So like, that's just where I'm at with it. Maybe I'm looking at it bigger. Dustin's shaking his head, but because somebody in the same chat was like, oh, well, it's kind of like leveling up, like Dustin was kind of getting at, like in little pieces and bits and pieces in here. And to me, I don't know, that seems too small for the word.
So let me put it in another framework and see if we can adjust the way that you're perceiving what I'm saying. So like, imagine your lifeline is like this, right? You're Ryan and you're getting older, you're getting smarter, you're getting wiser. So watch my finger. So your life is, you're evolving like this, right? And then once in a while, something happens and you go like this, poof, like this. And then you plateau again and you do that steady incline. That poof, to me, is transcendence. And that's how we transcend our own beingness into a higher state of beingness. And so how far you transcend, whether it's to a slightly higher self or particles shooting off to the sun, is I was shaking my head because I've never gone that far. So I can't agree. But
maybe he's at the end of
myself.
Something we're not at yet.
Say what?
Maybe he's at the end destination. All of these things could be in chronological order, and he's just at that end stage where it's like all there is left is to ascend. That's it, into just being light, back to where we came from. Or I don't know. I'm trying to be where he is right now.
So I'm not.
Both of you guys.
Yeah, Dustin, I'm with you 100%, and I understand what you're saying. It makes perfect for me. Like the part that, like the end of the road, like the transcendence, like, okay, cool, you're about to break the matrix. Like that's
Right.
what I feel transcendence is. It's like, like now
That's
different.
right,
you know?
right.
And but what you're talking about, at least what I feel like, that doesn't. I got something here for a second. Whenever I've experienced one of those moments, and I'll use the red black game as an example because you understand what I'm talking about. It's like a Saturday night event. You play something, somebody pulls a sign in front of you, and you're like, once time passes, and I look back at that event now, okay, and all four of us here have definitely had a conversation or experienced a car crash or something like that where we're definitely elevated in consciousness, right? For reals. Every one of us has that experience. When I look back now, to me, I'm like, I've always known that. But now it's just something was removed. It was like a piece of armor or a blinder or something was like, okay, cool. Like I'm just becoming more and more and more clear with who I am. And to me, transcendence is still something, if I was to transcend, like really, really transcend, I feel like this place, this reality, the Matrix or God's creation, or if, the 8 front bars of any Bob Dylan song, it would break.
So I have another question then, based on what you're saying.
No, do it, go.
So okay, so let's take a seedling, all right, that's buried into the deep inside the earth. The seed gets a little bit of water, it splits open somehow, and a tiny little thing starts to grow out. This seed, this little thing, this tiny little sprout has to spiral and spin and dig and dodge and burrow through earth to eventually break into what is known as daylight, right? So when that thing is breaking into daylight, isn't that what you're talking about? Isn't that where you're talking about that poof, explosive experience? I'm now leaving this dark realm, this underneath earth, bursting into the sunlight, literally enlightenment. I'm now under and now into light. Is that not what you're talking about?
Because now I'm gonna back it up around.
Is that not what you're talking about?
No. It is what I'm talking about.
Then is that not exactly the same thing that I'm talking about, going back to the original thing that I said?
I'm not saying that it's not at all. And I'm not saying like one of us is going to win this debate, because I don't think that's what we're doing.
All of us are saying the same thing, essentially.
Yeah, I'm about to say the same thing. It sounds like it's two different points on the same scale.
Right.
Where what Dustin's bringing up sounds like that's like the just getting past the line of enlightenment and just entering the transcendent kind of feeling. And then what Ryan's saying is like, all right, I get that, I respect that, but what's coming across to me is like what Ryan's kind of saying is, for that full tilt, full throttle transcendence, it's like we can't be human anymore. Kind of feeling like
we can't be in this realm.
I'm micro dosing transcendence.
All right, and it's not a wrong thing. Like I said, I feel like one can lead into the other, or one is just a deeper version of the other. But I feel like what you're explaining, Dustin, is the beginning chapter of transcendence, and ultimately what Ryan is saying is that last, like everything we know, we understand everything, and now it's time to Robert Downey Jr. dies.
Mm-hmm. But I'm actually going to go back.
Tony Stark.
Mm-hmm.
How do we know that somewhere else it wasn't Robert Downey Jr. specifically? So,
but it could have been. Exactly.
And so I guess the thing that I'm going to say now is that why does and this is just me, like, and this is why Dustin and I do this, because now
Let's get it.
Yeah. Why does, and I'm asking myself this question, does that splitting open and the light particles pouring out of me, is that actually any different than that seedling breaking through the
seed at first, and
then
then
Neo taking the red pill.
Yeah.
How is that different?
Yeah, how is it different? And I don't think that it is.
It might not be different. Yeah.
It's all the same song.
It is.
Just like when that same tree makes fruit or whatever children it's going to have, when it creates that, that's that passing on of the knowledge or the inherent capabilities, and that might also be the same thing-ish as the seed breaking open to burrow. So it's kind of like
the new phase.
Yeah.
And then it also can become a spear that feeds a village also. And that's
Exactly.
so it's like that's another level of transcendence where it's no longer operating from a place of self, but something else.
Yeah, that's where I'm feeling transcendence is at. Because it's like, okay, the standard or the charted route is the seed like recreates itself. But the difference is, all of a sudden a bird comes by and eats the fruit or something and travels and brings the seed somewhere else. Humans find it and they populate this whole like acre of seeds and make even more stuff from that, what they got from the bird. So it's like maybe the catalyst of the shift from changing the direction of where that original seed was going to go is probably what Ryan's looking at. But it's still the same thing as the seed just busting open in the first place.
It's probably the same thing. And then you mean, just like you, there's a perfect point. Like if the bird, like that, like the farmer casts his seeds, right? And then the bird comes up and eats one up before it even does a thing, digests it and poops it out. Like, why isn't that transcendence too? And I would, the question isn't even why is it, like that is just as well. It's just different and the same because it's all part of this massive system.
Let me add to this with a question. What? Because I can't think of it off the top of the dome. But what element do we turn into after we die? We're dead and gone. We turn to dust. What element do we turn into? Is it carbon?
Mm-hmm.
All of them.
Here, in this reality. In this
So when we die, and then after smoke is clear, your body's dead and gone, and you turn into this element. You go back into the ground, and you actually are life again. You're enriching the soil, and trees actually eat off of carbon. So it's all a cycle. So I can say transcendence is different phases of a cycle, maybe.
Also known, also it could be said like kind of like the Buddhist rebirth format, where our energy gets dispersed among the cosmos or whatever, because in theory that all our energy is all the cosmos's energy is just the same. It just balances out with life and death is just part of the process, kind of recycling, kind of repurposing. And then that kind of gets certain people in my family upset with me when I continue with this conversation.
It's a hard thing for people to handle, man, because I'm right there with you. I look at the process as equally as beautiful as the other process. So like birth comparing to death and its virtue and beauty and honor and all the things. And like the respect that it deserves as a part of life. And like can't say stuff like that to everybody. That's a part of transcendence.
Like death is necessary. Like the forest has to burn a little bit. The forest has to burn a little bit. Come on.
Yeah.
That's how pine trees are born.
It's necessary to provide an experience, because without a contrast there is no experience. So like if you don't have a light, there is no dark, and vice versa. So without having an experience of non-experience, there wouldn't be an experience of life. So it's like you have to love. If you love your life, you have to love death, and it deserves the same kind of feeling.
Yes.
No fear.
Right there with you.
Why would you fear the only promise you have? The only guarantee. Why would you be afraid?
Only. More guaranteed than taxes.
Yeah, for sure. Survival rate for Earth is 0.
Yes.
And that sucks. Like, I hate being reminded, because I'm so fascinated by the idea that in a billion years, there's so many different ways that we can go out, that this planet is just finally going to go out. The sun is right there, just beaming at us, ready to take us out at any moment. And it's like so scary, but at the same time necessary. Like there always has to be an end, and maybe we'll gain a different. I mean, a billion years, a million years is a long time. Maybe we'll transcend in mind that we can start creating finally, like maybe a way to travel to Mars and industrialize it and civilize it. So I'm rooting for that. Even if I'm dead and gone, I want to do everything that I can right now. If there was like a donation, like donate for this cause, we trying to go to Mars. Yes, put my dollar in there.
There is one. You can go buy a Tesla. Like that's fun.
Oh,
Or get some solar panels. I mean,
Or just go get some solar panels. Or
that's exactly what I'm trying to do. I definitely support Elon Musk. He's like one of the greatest visionaries of our time.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the thing. But I think you said it earlier, and this is just to kind of point to what Dustin was saying. I'm sorry, or None10. I'm going to refer to you as that. This is too awesome. It's just like you said earlier, like when you pass and you go into the soil and you become something else, like you're literally still in the power plant. You know, you're still part of it. Like we're all energy. We come from it. We can return to it. I mean, that's in the Bible. That's in science books. Like it's everywhere. And so it'll be interesting. Who would I see on this the other day was saying that we are just dead stars, like looking back at ourselves. You know?
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
We're the two prism of experience of it. So like, I can't experience what it's like to be Ryan and me at the same time because of the way that this is structured. So like, but Ryan and I are the same thing, despite the appearance of a separate. Like our perspectives are separate, but it's the same. It's the same thing. Like we're all part of the same source in the same structure of the universe. Yeah, it's all just one thing. It's too big to be multiple things. It's too small to be multiple things. It's just one thing.
I need to be invited to another one of these things where we talk about self and ego, because to me this is like steering way off, but self and ego is kind of, I want to consider it an illusion because
grab
it helps
the wheel, man. Take the conversation there.
Yeah, we don't care. Like, there's no agenda.
So I was hit today. I put up a post about consciousness or whatever, and somebody said that it was consciousness is what happens when you separate self and ego, and I thought that was very thought provoking. And I told him I'm trying now, because I'm a product of that, believing that I am who I am, and getting good at something so good that I have bragging rights to it. That's what I have been for the first 25 years of my life. But now going forward, I want the next 25, 50 years to be about, I'm not me. I can constantly change, and I'm not different from you. There shouldn't be, when the world gets into that type of mentality, I feel there will be, I don't know, I want to dream less wars. There'll be more conversations that can ultimately produce giant planetary innovations and what have you to get us to Mars or do these things. What I'm basically trying to say is that if we were connected and everyone felt free to just express themselves, I believe that the ideas would be so crazy that we can ultimately transcend, I'm gonna just bring it back, into a different realm of just thinking and creating. That's what this all is.
Mm-hmm.
What you guys think? So
no, I think my challenge to you, because I think it's just like the ocean, right? Like what can a single drop do? Yet when we realize that the ocean is but a multitude of drops, and you can use that metaphorically, or you can change the parts out, or of that analogy to something else. But I think the more and more, and Justin and I have talked about this before, like I think that because you're observing Elon Musk creating spaceships to go to Mars out of electric cars and solar panels, I believe that that's just you looking at a reflection of yourself. Like I believe you're part of that. And so if you want that project to expand quickly or move farther or faster, like what part of you can buy in, and I guess transcend into that. This word's still messing with me.
My goal is to get a Tesla. Within a year, I'm getting a Tesla.
Okay, cool.
I drive a Nissan Versa, but I absolutely, he's on my, somebody said post up your what do you call that on your phone? The background. He's on my background. I have him, Tony Robbins, a couple other people, but he's one of the best visionaries of our time.
Because of how I guess, spent most of my time thinking, I need to say this quote. While it's good to be staring at Elon Musk and all his greatness, because I respect the guy. And this is very awkward for me to say because I'm used to typing it out, but stop focusing on the finger and keep on going towards that moon, because Elon's that finger right now. He's the one pointing the way to the moon. He's the one pointing the way to Mars. He's the one pointing. What if that's your journey, bruh, then like, don't just sit there admiring the guy. If you're dreaming the same dreams, you got to be doing things like what can you do now that gets you closer to doing what he does? The goal is not to be within his, like, I think the end goal should not be to be like under his wing. You should be peers with that brother. You should be like
trying to help him get ideas.
Not just helping him, but like brainstorming, like a round table system. Not like, oh, I'm supporting him and that I'm just holding him up, but like how we're doing now, where the four of us currently are having a conversation and we're like shooting back and forth on. It started with transcendence. So it's like, okay, to better the understanding, the more the collective gets together with this thought process and the different perspectives, the different angles, the different experiences will, maybe we're just using Mars as a variable. Maybe we're using the moon as a variable, but like, stuff like Bruce Lee would be talking about is like, dude, you can get there. You don't have to get there the way I get there. Because Bruce's style was specifically to his physiology. I can't do what Bruce Lee did because I'm 1 inch shorter. My legs are the same length. One of his legs was shorter than the other. I wear glasses and he wears contacts. Like it's just not going to happen. So for you to chase Elon Musk would be a great way for you to keep evolving, but don't let that be your target.
Like, I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
I think what you're hinting on is a really good thing that I've really adapted in my own life, and it's picking my mentors for specific purposes. And so, like, you pick Elon Musk to be a specific mentor in a specific way, and you have another mentor who mentors you in another way. And like, that's how I look at Elon Musk, like a mentor. Like, the knowledge he drops is for free, and I'm picking it up. That motherfucker's mentoring me. But I got a lot of mentors. I got a lot of mentors that mentor me in a lot of ways. And so it's like, diversify the mentorship. For me, that's the way that I go. But Elon is definitely very close to the top of my list of people who I look at. And when I look at Elon and I look at what does he do, or what it is about him that makes him so specifically unique to me, and it's he gives himself permission to create what he wants, and that's what he has. So he has unlimited permission from himself to create what he wants to create, and so he's not questioning himself or thinking about what's not possible or what's going to be limiting or anything. It's like, well, that's what I want. Okay, like, let's logically engineer that, and like that's the way he thinks. So it's just a limitless place of thinking, and that's a hell of a way to think. And so emulate the fuck out of that for sure. And how do you apply limitless thinking to the way that you think in your own life, in your own goals, in your own struggles? Most importantly, how do you apply limitless thinking to the things that are the fucking hardest in your life? That's where you're gonna get more.
And I think one of the really cool things about Elon, because he realizes that he's just one man, and if you see him in any interviews, especially lately, the dude is stressed out. Like he's pushing his physical body as hard as he can because these things are so important to him. And it's not necessarily like the kind of physical push that you would do like in a gymnasium or on a mat. It's like the kind of like pushing his mind and saying, and just like Dustin's saying, like, I'm committing, like he's looking well past his finger. And Mars is, I believe PayPal was just the next step for him, to Tesla, the solar panels. Mars is just the next step. Like I guarantee you he's thinking about something past that. And the most
easy.
is that once he creates something and perfects it or gets as far as he can, he makes it open source and gives it to everybody for free.
That's the beautiful thing about it.
And so he's like, okay, cool, Tony Santiago, I need you to take what I've developed and make it better. I need you to
make it better.
Because once we get to Mars, like, then what? Like, yeah, we got a guy driving a Tesla. We got a dummy driving a Tesla around. Like, is that it? It's not it. Like, what's next?
Right.
Like, how can you bring this in? Who are the right people you can bring into your party? Like, Dustin and I do often, and we do this Monday night thing. And I think maybe today's the day we started back up. And it's just like you said, like, Dustin's one of my mentors, and I believe I'm one of his. And the reasons that we have each other are different for me than it is for him, because we push each other in different ways. And,
Totally.
you know, and it's like, so, and then we do this freaking talk to hopefully somebody catches something and picks up on something and can take an idea that we've created together and said, oh, grab it and run with it and take it somewhere entirely that I'm not able to reach because I'm not an inch shorter and wear glasses and actually I do.
Should I take mine off?
No.
That's the concept that I was thinking about, that you can bring something. What can you bring to the table? When the focus is what value can you bring to the table, I'm just now understanding that conversations with someone you don't even like can bring you value.
Mm-hmm.
I was
most times that's the best value.
Right. I was telling my girl the other day, because she doesn't get along with her boss, and I told her, I was like, you don't have to like somebody or learn something from them. Get what you can out of them, because he owns a business. He's owned a couple businesses. He's been an entrepreneur since 15. I don't know how that feels. And you know, he could tell you a story or two. So I'm trying to figure out constantly, like, what can I grab from this person? What can I grab from that person? From Dustin's non-zero zeros point. Grab what you can out of and diversify your mentors. Anything. I feel like simple concepts can be a mentor. You can learn things from the most like sublime. Outside getting eaten by a snake. Oh, he should have definitely not.
It's not that you can. It's that we are. It's just what we're paying attention to.
Everything's a Zen textbook, man, if you want to use it as one.
Yeah.
Everything. From tripping while walking to the mall to having a conversation about transcendence. It's all a Zen textbook if you choose to see it that way in life.
Oh yeah. Just like that.
Isn't that another form of transcendence?
Maybe.
Like taking a concept out there.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, where you can have where you can understand a concept so strongly that it's not a concept, it's almost a language where you can take Alice in Wonderland and make it into a Zen textbook, or anything. Like,
everything
so deeply. Like it's been happening to me with not on like crazy levels, but like it's constantly I'm like just seeing these like opportunities and just seeing the universe and life and struggle and all of these things is just this abundant resource. And then applying the idea that to suspend judgment, which is like at the heart of Zen philosophy, just allowing myself that moment to suspend judgment and creating that space for myself is just.
Oh yeah.
I did it by quitting social media, man. Honestly, I just quit social media and I just had a whole bunch of time on my hands, got into gardening, become a huge witness to myself.
What does gardening give to you?
Time and stillness.
Oh, so it's like a meditative practice.
Kind of. It's like
why did I just have to exercise? Sorry, please go on.
It's like meditation, but also something that happens over a long period of time. So like, I get to watch something grow. I get to foster and nurture that growth, and somehow that reminds me of something really interesting, like the idea of mortality, because eventually that thing's going to die and I'm going to replant it. I'm going to eat that thing and shit it out, and it's going to float down the drain, et cetera, et cetera. Like being in that quiet space and not having social media just takes time for me to think about that sort of thing. So yeah, my brain is just feeling so neutralized, so
neutral.
my life is being so revitalizing to my brain. So just my experience every day of waking up and walking around and being me, my
Being
perception. My perception of my own life is just feeling like an education, and it really started with quitting the social media, man. April 1st.
Yeah, because if you
That
think about
alone's a chapter in the Zen textbook.
yeah, this is something I learned like a month ago. They said that because of social media, what's happening is we're exposed to everything at the same time now. Everything is at your thing is right there. Somebody just had a kid. This other person is going bankrupt. That Elon Musk, and there's this and there's that. So we're constantly being engaged, and it tires you out. I haven't taken a break from social media because I enjoy things like this so damn much. I keep it open for this, but
We'll see.
I do have my time for myself. I have when I go to the park, it's all meditation. It's singing, dancing, and working out. I'm not worried about none of this. And so I understand what you feel when it's quiet and there's nothing but nature around you. You can't see the background, but there's nothing but trees and stuff here. It's dark, but this is like it was crazy. Real quick. I'm home. I have my house right here. In my house, I was feeling so depressed inside. I'm constantly looking at my phone, and I was depressed. I was becoming depressed. Like, what am I getting done? What am I getting done? I kept on asking that question inside. And then let me tell you, I've lived here for maybe 8 months and found out I discovered my patio. After 8 months of living here, I discovered my patio. And I'm like, this is kind of nice. The sky is right there. Like, it's not that crazy. Life is not that crazy right now. I love this. And so I'm out here all the time.
Almost, man.
Let's see, like all this stuff that's going on, because social media is a hot topic. So all this stuff's happening regardless, whether we post it on social media, whether we don't post it on social media. In theory, just because the internet's the internet and it's kind of everywhere wirelessly, and we're just kind of connected to it all throughout. Well, technically, as humans, we were experiencing that before we created some sort of technology to fixate on something. So it's like, okay, well, social media. There's an actual real tree outside the back of your patio.
You never know.
If you take a picture of that, that's a snapshot of a moment in time that you are sharing with someone else that maybe they needed to see that tree. But if you go out and search for the perfect tree, you're gonna lose your whole journey. So it's like, okay, social media, cool. No social media, cool, because technically the entire cosmos, the one thing that we're all part of, that because we're all the same thing, it's technically, for lack of a better term, social media without technology as we utilize it. So it's like, I'm caffeinated. I'm rambling. I just realized I just went in like 2 circles. I'm gonna stop right now.
No, that's fine. I see what you're getting at. Like social media, I would have to say is your awareness. Basically, you're witnessing this. You can witness a whole bunch of things through social media, but it lacks that connection. You're not really there in social media. You're not really with that person. You're not in that picture. So I believe that real life, just having this tree right here, even if it's not the perfect, it's not a sakura tree. It's just a regular tree, a palm tree. But if
on the flip side, we're communicating right now. Different time zones in some cases, different everything. I'm in my car, you're in your patio. Ryan looks like he's in his podcast studio. I don't know where Dustin is. But it's like we're all also in that giant one structure. We're also brought together in this two technology things, I guess, because Facebook and Zoom at the same time. So like the labels kind of make the distraction. There's still that finger. We're still technically one with the moon. We're still technically all part of that giant structure. The whether that tree is there is real or it's photoshopped or not, none of that matters, man. None of it matters. Dustin's gardening, dude, that is meditation and living simultaneously. We've been throwing around the term Zen, so like that opened up like a massive file in my brain. Everything is meditation, bruh. Right now we're engaged. No. Everything is meditation, not just should. Right now we're meditating on. It started with transcendence. We're having a conversation. We're focused. We're engaged. We're utilizing some sort of technology. We're utilizing language, labels, all of that. All of that is a form of meditation. It's all on how we fixate or pay attention to something. It's like, for example, the Colorado River from 5 seconds ago is still the Colorado River, but it's also simultaneously not the same river as 5 seconds ago. Like all at once. I don't know if I made sense.
I think
it makes sense in my brain.
I think everything can be meditation when you allow the labels to attach themselves and unattach themselves without fighting it.
Yeah, that because coming from where I don't know where y'all from, but I'll tell y'all, I'm from shelter system in New York. Like the people that I've known, all the circles that I've had over there, all my friends do not know what meditation is. They're not focused on that. They don't even know any of this stuff exists, and that's why I left, because I want to get back to what's true, what's beyond just material. You know what I mean? Because if I stood in New York, that would be everything. That's all. They live on the surface, and I got sick of that world, the surface world. And when you got deeper, that's when I understand. Like, yes, like everything is meditation. Everything it has a capacity. We should seek that, but everybody where I'm from, they don't see it like that. They have everything, to Ryan's point, blocking it: self-limitation, limiting beliefs, defense mechanisms, past trauma. It's just everything's in the way of just understanding. Like, there's a tree right here. I appreciate that. It could be so simple.
Well, I think
and
too,
it is
lack of attention, because if one could interpret that tree for all that it is, one might be pretty fucking impressed. The multicellular organism, the part of it that exists beneath the soil, the part that's underneath the ground needs oxygen, but the part above ground needs carbon dioxide. Like, who invents these things? That thing creates oxygen for us to breathe. It takes carbon from the air and light from the sun and stores it as energy that we can eat and then put back in our bodies. Like, whoa, like explain the whole process.
Created that.
I'm not impressed. Then what the fuck are you doing, man? You need to do some mushrooms with me and go on a hike. And
to add to the tree, the inside, the inner structure of our lungs is like the mold for a tree.
Absolutely.
The branches, the whole chambers, all of that, it's like the same shape.
Mm-hmm.
This book that I read recently that Dustin recommended probably about 17 or 18 years ago, at the end of the book, time is irrelevant. It's just how we process it. So the end of the book, they said you can sit on the top of a mountain for 10,000 years or 10 years, or you can strap on a squirrel suit and jump into a canyon in 43 seconds versus 10 years. You can achieve exactly the same thing, because both are very meditative activities.
Oh, yes.
They're just different paths. And it depends on, how deeply you want to go. And I'd challenge you to reframe and recommit to a different definition or a different reason of why you left. Because you didn't leave because of them. You left because of you and your journey. And
just broke the soil, man. That's it.
That's all. You just broke the soil,
baby.
They are there.
You needed the soil to get to there, and you needed to go bigger than that too, man. And Florida ain't stop for you either, man.
No.
Oh, man, 910, man, you are the truth. Ryan, I appreciate all of you guys. Dustin, you're the only one I don't have on social, so I definitely got to add you after this.
Yeah, it's pretty dark on my end, but
Mentor squad.
Yeah. So it's just like, yeah. And I think the more that you can let go of, I left because of them and said, I did this because of me, like you'll be closer and closer to that next step for you.
Oh, that helps so much.
For reals. And like I'm telling you, like that day that I talk about that Saturday night, that game that I was playing with, when somebody held up the sign and said, "This is how you're living your life," I was like, and you can really realize that it's all your responsibility, it's all your fault, it's all your own judgments. And every time you point a finger at somebody else, it's that reflection again that's coming right back at you.
And ultimately, it's all for you, man.
It's all for you, yeah.
Everything that happens to me is for me, man. Everything, even the worst stuff is for me, and it's mine to use. And I'm not gonna be a fucking a tragedy in my own story. I won't let that happen. I'm gonna use what happens to me, and I'm gonna grow from it. So it's like struggle, right? This is a new quote on my Wim Hof Method platform website because I had it blow up in my mind a few days ago. Struggle is a force of nature, but suffering is a creation of the mind. And
yes.
Struggle is gonna happen, man. It's mandatory. It's super important. But suffering, man, that's up to us. We can choose into that anytime and choose out of it anytime.
Suffering is a what, D, would you say?
Struggle is a force of nature. Struggling is a creation of...
Struggle is a force of nature. Suffering is a creation of the mind.
Boom.
That alone can make an encyclopedia of Zen textbooks.
That's alone. That's me compressing it all, man. So that's my compression of my philosophy. So that's how I get smarter, is by getting dumber. So I take a bunch of words and I make them less words, and I can somehow become like dumber but smarter. It's a trick. It's a nice trick.
It's like going backwards to move forwards.
Yes.
The most intelligent simplify the most complex.
Yeah.
So it's the way to go. Einstein did it. Bruce Lee did it.
It's like a concentrate. You know what I mean? It like
exactly.
You take a bunch of something and then you like boil it and boil it and boil it and boil it and boil it, and then you get this like mega dose.
That's like your Wim Hof method too.
I'm a mega dose kind of guy. What can I say? Or
I'm really into that guy. I think he's super powerful. What he's bringing to the table.
Yeah, he's a fucking nut, but.
Listen, so, like nuts get places. Like Elon Musk was considered a nut multiple times. I'm sure.
Yeah, you don't change history by being sane.
Right.
Oh no.
Right.
You gotta do a little bit of crazy shit, man. And Elon bet his whole fortune on Tesla at one point, man. He put it all on the line. Like, who bets all of their money on black? Like, who goes down to the bank and gets everything they own and takes it down to the casino and puts it on black, man? The dude's got fucking balls, man. That's courage. Woo!
And also, I love this example as well. Albert Einstein sat in a table for freaking, what was it, days, months, and literally created the equation. I don't know exactly what it was, MC squared for relativity, I think.
Relativity?
It's 5 characters.
And just by sitting down and thinking like, that wouldn't work if this didn't work, so that can't be possible. Process of elimination in your own head. I think that's completely psycho, but
thought
revolutionary.
So this is a great thing to do. This is something that I love to have fun with myself with this one. I learned this from Einstein, obviously, is to do thought experiments. When Einstein was 12 years old, you know what he was thinking about? What it would be like to go to the speed of light. What would happen?
Oh, that's awesome.
And that's what he would think about all day, man. Like, what would happen if I was going to the speed of light? What would my experience be? Would time change? Would I see light, or am I going too fast? Like, fucking.
He wanted to be Flash. He wanted to be Flash. I love it. Man. That's so dope.
But
this is why I believe like superheroes and the whole belief behind it is important.
It is.
Yeah.
It's part of human nature.
Yeah.
We need it. We make it, so we need it.
Strive for.
Or we need it, so we make it. I forgot.
something to
Superheroes,
shout,
though.
something to look up to.
That's one of the most powerful tools we have is just like Dustin was saying about, you know, baby Albert, is that like our power to imagine is what is a catalyzer for everything.
Focused attention, man. That's
I believe in
superpower.
this.
Yeah, that's all it is, the focus of attention.
It's taking 7 or 8 abilities to think and directing it in one place at one time, and staying there long enough to create something. Because that's what we can do. We can focus. What?
This is a question for all of you guys. Can you sit down for 72 days straight, just thinking on one thing?
No, I personally cannot. There's no way I
either.
can do that.
I want to be able to do that.
One eventually, but
I'm sure he slept and went to the bathroom, and that's
yeah.
and then he went back to it. And I mean, are you really ever I think about the same thing every single day. Every day. This is like literally what we're doing now. Like, this is all I do. My brain is constantly doing this, but I gotta sleep. I gotta eat, and I play games on Friday night, but that's still part of it. It's all part of the same focus for me. It's all part of being able to express a little more powerfully to each other, to be able to say these weird ideas, for me and Dustin to be like, I think we're saying the same thing, but it's completely different, yet still being in the same space without it being awkward or without it being, to allow that discomfort in and allow it to evolve us so we can become something different. But it's for me, it's all the very, very, very real context. And like when you post your little specific challenges in your life with your kids or your baby's mama or whatever, like I challenge you to notice how it's all part of the same exact thought process. It's all part of your journey. It's all part of the world that you're going to change. It's all the exact same thing. And every time you show up in there, that expression, whether it's action or words or otherwise, is just a part of what you're giving to the world, what you're giving to the universe, and the little light protons from other, realms bumping into each other through the ether. Like, that's all part of it. And it's just, yeah, man, I appreciate you.
All of it is, all of it is, it's kind of like part of a play or a show, and it's continuously going on. And I guess as you go along, you try to find out what's your message, what's your moral of your story, what's your happily ever after, what's the end result.
What are you going to contribute?
Exactly.
I would challenge you to notice that you're already contributing.
Always.
Already.
I feel like
from moment one.
Moments are there are moments that are more exciting than others, and I'll give it to you. I have to understand that all of it is the same. And I give into that theory of relativity. Just says like my struggle is going to give me a certain experience that I can utilize to better help the world in the way I want to do it. To Michael's point, there's something that only I can do the way that I can do it as efficiently as only I can do. And the journey is getting me there, basically. Just can't wait to transcend, I guess I have to say. To that point of being.
That journey. There's like you just said that some moments are more exciting than others. Brother, there's no ordinary moments. It's all exciting. It all depends on perspective.
All one moment.
It depends on who's watching. It's all on how we're looking at it. Yep.
Because somebody in a third world country would love to have baby mama drama, and love to have like a house with a patio and all this going on. And I understand that. I have to I guess.
And so that goes to my initial point, Tony, is elevate your perception. So that's exactly what I started off with, and that's what I employ everyone to do when they have a struggle in their life, is see it as a resource and as an opportunity to view. That this is pissing me off, so it means pay attention, bitch. That's what it means. If you're mad or upset, or you feel anything, or you're angry, or you're scared, all it means is our body telling us to pay attention. And so we do that, and you can see you're fucking lucky to have baby mama drama, like you said, man. That means you have a baby. You know what I mean? And that little child is teaching you everything that you could ever learn for many years, man. It's going to keep on doing it. Like, you got a gift from God, quite literally, right? another human transcended into this fucking world through a portal. Like, whoa,
Right.
that's part of you. Like, that's fucking
Right.
cool, right? And you're super lucky to have that. So just elevating your perspective, zooming out can change everything. And that's transcendence, man. So transcendence is a constant state of becoming. And that's what you
Oh yeah.
There is only the journey. There is only the journey.
Mm-hmm.
To add to that, like elevate it's got a certain connotation in my brain, but
zoom out then.
Zooming out is great because it's like for the people who believe that they can't elevate, but they believe that maybe they could detach.
Yeah, see wider.
It's all it is just detach from what's going on, zoom out. That is the elevation.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It might
I
not.
just wrote that down.
Different.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote down zoom out in life equals elevation of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Challenge your.
I
So
just wrote that down.
we can leave with this last little tidbit. To when you notice yourself showing up in life, or you're showing up as a perpetrator, a victim, or a rescuer, and if you can detach, just like we're saying, to become more of an observer of yourself, and just and it's just like Dustin says, and this is something I think in one of our first ever Do Weird Shits, we talked about everything's a shade of gray. If you zoom out, it's like looking at the world from the moon, like it's beautiful, it's blue,
Quiet.
like it's quiet,
not a single war going on,
peaceful, and then
perfect harmony.
You can go down to anything far. If you zoom in far enough, it becomes black and white instantly. If you go down far enough, but then you can come out, and it's just like allow your decision-making process to be able to be fluid from that bottom space to that top space, and practice all those things being in alignment with each other, whether it be at ground zero or 30,000 feet, because that's a really, really, and that's a challenging request.
Concept. Yeah.
It's a very challenging concept.
At the same time, I watched a show with astronomers who actually went up, and they were telling their story about everybody who goes up there and sees the planet from out there. They have a belief that everybody's connected, an overwhelming belief and understanding of what it all means, and just they want to help the human race. And I really want to believe and back that up.
Mm-hmm.
You will.
You're in Florida and I'm in Hawaii. We're freaking 6,000 miles away. We're all connected, homie.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Again,
sometimes I know he call me before he calls me. So
hell yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah. And just think about how you created this 4-way call today. You did this.
Woo! Don't do that.
You did.
You did.
It feels great. It feels amazing.
Watching, it was like a combination of me commenting based on somebody else's response to you. Somebody else responded to you, and then you responded back, and then I commented based on that response, and then you and I started talking, and then you dropped Michael's name in there, and Kelly said, "Hey, the three of you should do a Facebook Live." Boom. You started.
And all this went down before I even saw the message.
Right? Who's Kelly?
Kelly Hunt.
Oh yeah.
Right now. What's up, Kelly?
All right. I didn't get that point. That's what's up.
No, it is.
I appreciate your initiative though, because you made it like, all right, we're doing this, and Kelly. But I guess we're all
the personalities too.
Yeah.
Right.
What did he say? Is that what controlling personalities
do?
Supporting
personalities.
Yeah. Yeah, Dustin and I, we did this 2 weeks ago. We couldn't get the Facebook Live to work. And we used to do this every Monday at this exact time. And then Dustin was like, I'm taking Facebook break. He didn't even
went to Africa and then took Facebook break. And
yeah, so we had it for about 2 months. We didn't do this. And then, now we're back on it. We'll see what happens.
This was a nice one.
This was good.
I think I want to leave to finish at least my part with a little bit from Alan Watts.
You guys I love Alan Watts.
Yeah, you got to check out Alan Watts. He really helps me. I got to listen to his shit 1,000 times before I understand it once. But he talks about the concept that I'm talking about zooming out. He uses a really nice metaphor. So if you were to look inside your belly with a microscope, you would see an all-out war going on between bacteria and different microbials and all these different things inside your body, inside your belly, it would be the most violent war that you'd ever seen. But if you zoom out and look outside, you see that that belly is functioning in perfect harmony. So all you're doing is observing at a higher level of the universe. So observing at the microscopic level, it's chaos. But from a much higher universal level, it's perfect harmony. And so in our universe, this is true. And I believe this is true at every level. And so the chaos in the trauma and the struggle of at one level is that, but at a much higher level, your baby mama drama is carving you out of wood to be something perfect. And so without that carving, you wouldn't be that perfect thing. So that struggle is a gift. The struggle is a resource. And so it's perfect harmony because it's happening, man. So you can't change it. So it's already harmony. Life is harmony, right? It's already happening.
My absolute favorite concept of this talk was the zooming out thing. I love that. And zooming out, just your perspective is like, that was my favorite equation that I got so far. Zooming out in life is elevating your consciousness. You're just widening it out and understanding.
On that flip side, remember to zoom in too, because whatever we're accustomed to is different from what we're not. So like, because of Alan Watts getting dropped, my brain opened up the Taoism file. I'm sorry. So it's like one of my most, I guess, one of the lessons I've learned from reading the Tao Te Ching that stuck with me for so long, and it actually causes me to like communicate, is like always look at that flip side, because like Dustin mentioned earlier, without death, there's no life. It's the same concept, like it's the same existence.
Cycle.
So if we zoom out so far, there's a chance that we might forget to zoom back in.
Micro and the macro.
And we don't need to zoom back in to the point we were at. We can zoom deeper.
Take it all in, baby. Holistic. Take it all in.
Exactly.
Don't let your mind blow up, because we don't want you to transcend Ryan's way. So if you take it,
we don't want to become light yet. We don't want to become light yet.
You have not fixed the wheel yet, Tony. We still need you. We need you.
Yeah.
Do not become light particles.
I'll try, guys.
So, like, for reals, like, if you zoom out far enough, let's use Dustin's analogy, and then I'm going to press end. You're in the gut, right? Watching the battle, and then you zoom out far enough. Oh, it looks like harmony. You zoom out a little farther, you're looking at the Middle East. It looks like the battle again. You zoom out far enough, it looks like harmony. You keep zooming out, chaos, harmony, chaos, harmony. It's going to continue to cycle itself over and over.
Particles.
I'm going for it. That's what's next for me. It's going to split it open. I love you guys all so much. I'm going to cut it off there because I want to be the champion of this talk. I'm just joking.
Do it.
Michael, Tony, Dustin, thanks for showing up today.
Beautiful.
Kelly, thanks for the challenge. Tony, thanks for the Facebook post. Love all you guys. We'll see you guys next time.
Appreciate you.
Much love.